There's a new European initiative that is pushing for psychedelic therapy reform. They're trying to address a $669 billion mental health problem. The European Commission has officially registered the Psychedelic Care advocates for establishing a transnational legal framework for psychedelic-assisted treatments for mental health disorders. As Green Market Report outlined, this European Citizens Initiative aims to create progressive regulations around psychedelic therapies across the EU. We are scientists, medical doctors, therapists, neuroscience researchers, creative and marketing professionals, artists, policy experts, human and civil rights activists, spiritual practitioners, and educators. Together, united behind science and knowledge of EU laws, the goal of our initiative is to enable Europeans to access safe, regulated, conscientious psychedelic-assisted therapy. It's on its website. Psychedelic Care Initiative seeks to promote expert consensus on the standards of care in psychedelic-assisted therapy, covering therapist training, ethical guidelines, and safety measures. It also calls for EU-funded research to strengthen the evidence on the safety and efficacy of psychedelic treatments for mental health issues. Organizers of the initiative highlighted the high economic toll of mental health disorders in the EU, estimated at $669.4 billion annually. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. 50% of psychiatric patients not responding to current treatments, the initiative underscores the need for innovative approaches like psychedelic therapies. The EU has approved just one psychiatric treatment in the last 3 years compared to 68 new oncology or cancer treatments. Psychedelic care organizers point to international developments, including the FDA's breakthrough therapy designations for MDMA and psilocybin, as well as Canada's and Australia's advancements allowing psychedelic-assisted therapies for anxiety and depression. The initiative hopes to encourage the EU to follow suit and incentivize mental health R&D. To move forward, this initiative must collect 1 million signatures within a year, which would meet the minimum thresholds in at least 7 EU countries. If successful, the EU Commission will be required to respond and consider potential legal action. The initiative also seeks to position Europe as a global hub for psychedelic therapy innovation. For the care and health of human beings, I think this is a great move, a great initiative. The other thing I'd like to point out, which a lot of people in these movements don't seem to talk about, is maybe the reason that mental health is at an all-time low and mental illness is at an all-time high is that we are living in a corporate, fascist, technological dystopia, which almost no one currently can really survive without an incredibly high level of stress. You pair that, with the alienation being experienced by most people, is it any wonder why mental health is at a crisis level? I'd like the hosts and my fellow correspondents to weigh in here on a Friday. This is Mathieu St. Germain for the High at 9 News. Let's go.
Alien Nation, huh? Mathieu St. Germain.
Yes, sir. Alienation. Not the alienation that's coming down with Donald Trump to solve everything and let us live in our beautiful fascist dystopia where we'll finally euthanize all of the handicapped people so that we can create the master race together, you guys. Long live the Fourth Reich.
Oh, boy.
You mean the Anunnaki.
This guy's.
Hey, man. Hey.
Sorry, Jay.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll hide you in my closet when they take over.
He went off the deep end again, you guys. I'm sorry.
You're gonna have
I'm
to.
sorry.
You're gonna have
We
to
tried
hide
to
the
let
person who made those original statements too, Matthew.
Yeah, we tried to let him cover some psychedelics today, and he just
tried, you guys, but
lid.
he's hopeless.
Hey,
it sounds like he's got.
I mean, if we look at all the mass shooters, and the media doesn't want to talk about it because the corporate media on both sides is funded by the pharmaceutical industry, just like Amazon, Netflix, Paramount, etc. If you don't buy the premium version, you can see those commercials, and it's just nonstop pharmaceuticals. Most of the mass shooters have been on SSRIs. Most of them have been bullied and felt alienated in high schools. And when do we, as a race of human beings and a human family, get together and say, hey, guys, this doesn't seem to be working for all of us, begin to create alternative plans of inclusion, fellowship, brotherhood and sisterhood, and caring for the least among us?
Never.
I hear you, but kids are mean. We now have these school little shooters because kids have also been given participation trophies, and everybody's a winner.
That's not why.
Life
Hold on, let her
lessons
finish.
happen sometimes. Sometimes life lessons happen. Our society has gotten soft, and we're playing these shoot 'em up video games. Like some of the shit that I've seen on my son's Xbox, I'm like, I'm unplugging this. This is it. You just jacked a car, shot 3 people, and I don't even know what the fuck is going on.
Yep.
The things that we've indoctrinated our kids with, while also encouraging their petulance and being little assholes, is why we're seeing children bullied so viciously. Your kids shouldn't be on Instagram fighting people, because your kids should be outside kicking a fucking soccer ball being a child. So as we as parents have stepped back and failed, a lot of that is also to blame for what we're seeing happening in our school system and in society.
I totally agree.
Thank you for the right-wing talking points. I'm glad to see that Fox News has successfully indoctrinated you. I would, however, posit that it goes back to the fact of
going outside and kicking a soccer ball is a Fox News talking point. All of a sudden, Mathieu St. Germain, that doesn't make any sense.
I would point to the elimination of music programs in school, elimination of after-school programs such as chess clubs and science clubs, elimination of athletics and artistic programs in schools.
George W. Bush.
The alienation created by social media and this technological wave that has really been unregulated and just foisted upon the youth as another revenue source. And again, the wholesale prescription labeling of both SSRIs and amphetamines to our children from kindergarten on. And if one would stop with the coddling of our youth and et cetera, like I have kids, I know a ton of kids. Those are the kind of kids you guys are seeing, Jenny and Jason. I'm sorry for you for the company that you keep. Children I see are awake, aware, artistically creative, intelligent, on their way to college to get STEM and other degrees to help the human race. But majority of people are guided by both school administrators, doctors, and the mainstream medical establishment get their kids on Ritalin at the age of 5 to 7, which then goes into getting their kids on a balance of 1 to 5 SSRIs, selective serotonin uptake inhibitors, which cause suicidal and homicidal ideation that is on the label as known side effects. When you pair suicidal and homicidal ideation with houses full of assault rifles and mass shootings.
That wasn't a no, but that was a yes and, Matthew, because I agree.
Okay,
all
great.
Those programs are absolutely important.
Yeah, all those programs are great.
I'm a child who my mom thought to put me on the Dr. Spock method and throw me on Ritalin before I could swallow a pill. So I understand. I wish that she had not have done that, and that's unfortunate. My child is also a very kind, caring, loving, intelligent person. So it's not the company I keep my kids doing just fine. But I am going to call to action the parents that have stepped back and are allowing their kids to just kind of run rampant and be raised by screens, because we do need these programs. We do need athletic programs. Chess club was the only thing we could do in 5th grade. It was cool as shit for some nerdy stuff, right? Like, so I agree with you. It's a yes and, Matthew. It doesn't have to be such a combative situation. I think we all want what's best for our children and for them to be able to go to school and get the education they have a right to without fear.
Yeah, Matthew, you can't
agree with you,
just
Jenny.
let the kids be kids.
I think it's gonna be a problem if you let your kids, you take that cell phone away from your kid, let them go outside, kick that ball around, and then shit, they get knocked out, they get taken out by somebody with a semi-automatic rifle, a weapon of war. That
you can't live like that. You can't live like that. That's not real.
And it all goes back to the root. You want to go back to the root of the problem? George W. Bush taking out all of this from schools in the early 2000s. Period.
I don't know.
Also, from the positive perspective, we are recognizing more mental health these days than not recognizing it. So I think the numbers have increased because we're able to recognize mental health conditions as well.
I mean, Dr. T, you do have a point, because nowadays they do just like all of a sudden people say one thing and then they like, oh, well, that's a condition all of a sudden and da-da-da-da-da. But you don't think that a lot of it is kind of like enables people to develop these conditions more by certifying and telling them that they have a condition?
Jason, people used to beat their kids if they thought they were autistic. They were slow and shit. They would get beaten or they get locked in the closet.
No one wants to be sick.
Right.
And it's good to recognize if you are, and do something about it.
I have a question, actually, for Dr. T.
Oh boy, here we go.
Listen, this is an actual question. So, I mean, the over-medication, is a thing. There's definitely an appropriate amount of medication, but we're medicating children for conditions like, bipolar, things like that. Those shouldn't be technically diagnosed until into their 20s, right? When the brain is fully developed, or is that incorrect? Is there...
Well, I completely agree with you, Jenny, on the over-medication of children. I think that that there are much better ways to do it. But in our society, the quick fix is the pill, and listening to the doctor, and the doctors and the pharmaceutical company are making money off of it. And so it creates a vicious problem, really.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I was one of those kids. Fair story. My mom just threw pills and things at me, and now that I'm an adult and was able to go like real therapists and real doctors are like, no, you're fine. You're dealing with PTSD from a mom who had BPD, and it was abusive, and that was a trigger response. But I never shot up school.
As you should.
Yeah. So what Dr. T says here is really super important, and all you need to do is tune into the evening news if you care to do so, and you'll find that it's brought to you by the pharmaceutical companies with all these fictitious names of drugs and happy, frolicking families down by the seaside, and they have a dumbed down population believing that whatever's wrong with you, there's a pill for that. Oh, your back hurts? Here's a pill. Oh, your kid doesn't behave? Here's a pill. Oh, you can't take a shit because of the medicine you're taking because your back hurts? Here's another pill. When's the madness going to end? And I think we were talking about tinctures before. I mean, again, if you can take a whole plant, extract it, and make a tincture, guess what? No more pharmaceutical companies required, right? So, I mean, there is no play for the pharmaceutical companies in cannabis. Zero, because they can't patent the medicine. Medicine's already out in the public domain. So they have a vested interest to make sure that cannabis stays good and illegal so they can keep, the pharmaceutical company's mantra is not to cure disease. It's to hook customers for life and to get sucking on the insurance teat where all that money goes, right? When we pay our insurance premium, guess where it goes? It goes to the U.S. pharmaceutical industry, who's claiming that, it costs a lot of money to discover all these drugs, right? Basically, drugs that are approved by the FDA are basically toxins that basically do have efficacy on disease, but ultimately will kill you because, they hook you for life. And my dad and my father-in-law, twice a day, takes 2 handfuls of pills, 8 pills. I got this for my gout. I got this for that. I got this for that. And how 2 of them interact, they don't know. How 8 of them all interact in their system, they're slowly basically killing themselves.
Yep.
Agreed.
Totally.
They don't have to. The good people at home no longer have to tune into that bullshit evening news if they get up early and join us for High at 9.
It's so right, Rico.
Real true.
That's right.
You might still want to do your own research in some other places, but yes.
Fuck that.
Yes,
Let you tell it. Let you tell it.
And.
Let you tell it. You ready, Rico?
Yes. Thank you all for joining us for yet another week of High at 9 News. You can always catch us live weekdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen. Do we have any today, Jason?
No. They saw me have the Wagyu chips yesterday. I guess they just like, you know what? He's good. He'll survive over the weekend apparently.
I don't know, man. Them Wagyu chips, man, they gave me a little mini gout attack, man. I'm sad. I'm sad. Big shout out.
That's what it was.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's what it was exactly.